developed quite a few varieties himself.
Wow.
And he named one after his wife, right, Mandy or something?
Yes.
You haven't named one after me, though.
I haven't found one cruddy enough to put on there.
Oh,
You'll go into the novelty section, he doesn't really fit in.
okay. Oh. Anyway, let's welcome Bob.
Well, thanks, Jerry, for doing this to me. I'll show you one picture.
Wow.
That's the one that started it all for me to do that. That was one that my dad had back
Wow.
when he was alive and did a thing. So hopefully you don't get tired of me. It's much more great being visual, but I can talk about dahlias forever to do that. Brief history of dahlias. I've actually been growing them for 57 years now. Almost as old as Doc. So I got 57 years. I was a little kid, started out with little palms and worked my way up to the big ones. And please don't use the term dinner plate. So we'll get that out straight. There's no such thing as a dinner plate dahlia. Because we had that discussion on Facebook one time, and there everybody's calling dinner plate. So I sent them a thing, say, here's a dinner plate in Europe, here's a dinner plate in the United States, here's a dinner plate here. Which one are you talking about? So that's the size. They usually mean large ones. So it's a very interesting thing for me to do that. I don't know where you want to go. Jerry, he got involved in the club. I think he's almost confident enough to do things on his own. Instead of saying, which one do I put in? I said, put it in the table, I'll judge it for you later, and we'll tell you which one was the correct one to do. So we'll go that direction. But with the dahlias, for me, and this is why I have this thing here, and it's not so much to get into the technical parts and the varieties, the type of dahlias here I think would work, but for me, dahlias always come with a story. Dude, that's a big thing with me. You go, what do you mean that comes with a story? Well, how many times have you gone up to somebody and talked to them and said, oh, tulips, and they go, oh yeah, tulips. But if you mention a dahlia, you go, oh, my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, my dad, my neighbor, my uncle did this. So it's a very neat thing to do. It really draws you in. That's kind of why I'm still in there doing that. It just brings back to the childhood stuff where we had everything to do, so it's really great. As far as a lot of people go, they always ask you, well, what is this? I get a lot of times, what is this one? What's this name? What's it? There is, the last time I looked here, there's 65,000 named varieties. So it's kind of tough to go in a room, and it's impressive when you tell everybody the names, but then you're like, it's not when you're like, no, sorry, I don't know this one, and bring it in to do that. So I'm mostly, I hybridize. I've been hybridizing now for 17 years doing that. I have 35 varieties that are in the book. And I'm very picky about one because I do everything for show quality. I'm always looking for show quality blooms. Sorry, I was at a convention yesterday while I'm tourism, I'm going to sit there and say, and I just said, so I remember that. So we bring this in and it grows. So when you do it for show, it's a very difficult plant to grow because right before you show you have a bird or a bug or a wind or a bruise or this and that. But for the go-home garden, for each one to do, you put them in the ground, people leave them in 2, 3, 4 years, do that, they keep growing, they keep showing, they do really well. Still have the Wild River Dahlia Society here to do that. We're trying to get back off the ground since the world didn't end in 21. So we're trying to get people back out there involved and do things to do this. We held the show here at the fairgrounds for 4 years we had the show going on. And it was very well attended, brings people here. We actually had over 300 people attend the show. And a lot of those people came from out of town to do that and see. So when we get into this dahlias and you look at them and you see, you'd be amazed when we talk about the types. We have I wish I could show you better on the screen to do this. That are size of a quarter up to 14 inches across. They're a single plane to a cactus which looks spiky. This one here is an informal deck. We have 20 different forms of dahlias to do that. We've opened up, the ADS has opened up the last couple of years to micro dahlias now, and I'm actually going into hybridizing micro dahlias. So they're all under 2 inches. And you're trying to do that. And you're trying to make them look like a 2-inch version of this. So you're trying to bring that down so they have their own classes. It's a wonderful thing to get in there, and it's about the society with the ADS to learn all the things that goes on. But you meet people when you get involved in the shows, and you're traveling. I traveled from Portland down to Santa Clara to the show. And the one nice thing about it is when you're in this, is that when you go to these things, you haven't seen these people in 11 months, 10 months, 11 months or so, and yet you pick up a conversation right where you left off where you go. So it's a good group to go. We are right here are in a great climate for these. They originated in the foothills of Mexico, so they can adapt to heat very well. These things that we have nowadays are nowhere near the same thing that was. There is one. You see the ones that you're familiar with what a cosmos look like. Lack of a better term, that's how the original ones were first started when they seen that. They took them over from back there in the 1800s back over to Europe, and then were surprised when they got what they got, because they took them from seeds. And every single one of those, we call them florets, everybody says petals. Each one of those florets can create a flower, that's why it's a floret. Every single one of those seeds will not match that parent seed. You'll have a similar form what a parent is to do that. And the reason is that they have 8 sets of chromosomes. So it's a big jumble, so you can't, it's not like when you plant a poppy, you get a poppy, you get a poppy, you get a poppy. Well, you get a dahlia, but it's a different variety to do that. So it's great for hybridizing. You can pick up a lot of different things, you get a lot of stuff doing it. Some people aren't as picky as I, and they put a whole bunch of weird stuff out there to do that. Jerry buys some of those.
So even though you get all these different flowers on dahlias, the leaves are all pretty much the same?
The leaves, there's 3 types of leaves. We have compound leaves, which is a leaf with 2 sides, one at the tip, a single leaf, and sometimes we'll have the ones which are not really desirable. You see like a little double leaf, but the leaves change, but they're similar in look. A lot of times when people ask, what is this variety, if they know what it is, I actually really need to see the stems and the leaves too. Because some varieties have a trait that stays consistent with that thing, and that helps you picking it out. Because I could put one up, a red ball, somebody said, what's this? It's a red ball. Oh, I know it's a red, I know it's a ball. But the name, well, there's 80 in Oregon that get shown that are in a book that's the same red ball, so you try to find a little tendencies.
These are all called dahlias.
They're all dahlias. The genus and species is all the same. It's just the variety of it is just a little bit different. And the interesting thing is a lot of stuff, they were propagated and everything actually for food. South America. You get them, I prefer the white and yellow ones and maybe the light pink ones. The dark ones, the reds, the purples are a little woody. So a little grainy to it, but you can cook them up like sweet potatoes. Anybody in here do beer? You can make beer out of it to do that. The tubers have so much sugar in them. So that's why they were grown for food. And then the stems are hollow. In South America, they also use them for straws.
Oh.
So they did that, so they're straws. There's a lot more things that you can do with this, but they are very edible, the roots. Make sure you just don't poison the ground with it and put it in there. I try to grow organically, so I keep my soil alive. Too much other stuff kills your soil to do that. But we can get them here to do this. As I said, as far as easy to grow, a lot of people have them in the gardens. Would love to get the society back up. It's probably the easiest thing to do. You show up, that's it. It's not a whole lot of work, not a whole volunteer. Show week is it. And the rest of the time we just talk about the dahlias. But I got questions?
Did you bring any bulbs with you?
No,
Ah.
because I started a 1-hour job at 9 o'clock. I ran home and grabbed my computer, and that was all I had time to get.
Can we get them from you?
Yes, yes, we can get that with that, yes.
Are the different colors, do they make different aromas, different stuff?
That's a very interesting thing. That's almost like the Holy Grail. There's two holy grails, a blue dahlia. So you never go on Amazon and they say, hey, blue dahlia is for sale. It's a Photoshop dahlia because there's no blue gene inside dahlias. They don't have the capability to do it and smell. So these things here, they smell like a plant, that's all they are. But if you get the ones we call singles and open centers where the pollen is exposed, they'll have, some of them do have a scent, but the scent comes from the pollen. It's unlike roses where you don't have like that peppery smell or the other fragrances. It's not the same. They wait until they open up, create pollen, attract the bees, and do that. And with this is a great bee plant. I walk through my garden and I feel like I'm being pelted by hail. There's so many bees flying back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob, this is a time when people could be planting dahlias, so I think the timing of your talk is really good.
Yes,
Can
this
you
is the time.
explain to people who haven't really maybe grown them too much, what, just a little bit of the basics about growing, if they want to put them in the ground?
Yes. Well, right now is a good time to put them in the ground. We just wait to plant these things until the soil hits about 60 to 65 degrees. A lot of people try to cheat, plant them in January, and they don't come up any faster than everybody else because they're waiting for the soil to warm up. You need, basically, sandy loamy soil is the best for it, so it drains very well. Full sun, they can handle the full sun all day long. You want to plant them probably about, well, with the neck, you want to keep the neck about 6 inches below the soil level to do that. You'd be amazed how they'll even push up some deeper, but 6 inches is about right time. It stabilizes it, holds it up, put it in the ground. You'll see a little neck on them. If you do pick any of them up, you'll see a little neck on them. It's like that neck has to be up, not down, but they will find a way to come back up to do it. It just takes longer and makes it tougher for them. So you want to have them so they're not overly watered. When we first plant them, we wait till we see green. When the ground's first damp and that's it. We wait till we see green coming up. And when you get about 2 inches of green up is when you start giving them water every other day to do that. You want to keep them moist, not soaking wet. You want the soil to drain.
Do you dig up all your bulbs every year?
Every single year. Yes.
You don't leave them in?
No. That's inventory in the ground. Well, I have to break up. And
But I can leave them in.
you can. I met this guy that lived in downtown Gold Beach and asked me to go look at the dahlias. And I asked him when's the last time he dug them up, and he goes, never. The thing of it is when you put these tubers in the ground, they'll develop other tubers to go with them. And everybody looks at it, that's one plant that I have. And no, if you have 10 tubers, you have 10 plants. So you now have 10 plants competing for the same water, the same light, the same nutrients. Everything's the same. You can leave them in 2 to 3 years if you get your own casualty. You can go in there with a machete and cut them up in a quarter and put the clump back in the ground and good to go. Anybody experienced growing irises? Well, what happens to your irises after a while?
Yeah, they need to be.
Weak, and then as soon as you break them up, boom, they look fantastic again. So it's the same principle. You're trying to feed off that to get it all done.
So what about it, like mine's been in, the one I got from you, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, has been in the same pot and it just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Can I take that out while I have other?
Oh, you'll have a nice hearty clump where you're trying to figure out how do I divide this. So, and when you do pull it up, what you want to do basically is you try to take it and cut it in quarters straight down with the stem, and you always have to include part of the stem in the ground. That's where the new eyes will come from to do that. And then you can get with somebody else to do it. It says you put them in pots. You can roll them in pots. I grew competition dahlias in 5-gallon pots. Nobody believed me, so the guy from New Zealand came over down here to my yard and looked at it. Wow. Okay, so they'll grow in pots too. The only thing I worry about pots is that they go through nutrition faster, they go through water faster, and when the sun's on them, they'll cook the pot a little bit hotter. So you may want in a heavy sunlight, you want maybe just not quite that 2 o'clock sun if they're in pots to do that. But yeah. Yes.
So when you cut those, are they like a potato? You make sure you have an eye?
Yes, but your eye's on the neck. The eye's not on the body. So
Do you have a picture?
yeah.
You know, do you want
Yeah,
to
Carl.
just go through I can zoom in on that.
Okay.
And you can scroll through all your slides and show all the colors.
Yeah, we'll see what I'm looking at here.
Well, do they bloom the first year?
Yes.
Okay, I'm all set.
So as I said, I belong to the American Dahlia Society, which is the parent organization for all this here. We do that. Yeah. We'll get you to some pretty stuff here. That's one of my varieties that I have there. That was azalea.
When you create one, you get to name it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll get to name it. There's yard. Now, I live next to the water apparently. The interesting, when I say how they're easy to grow or difficult to grow, here's how difficult they are to grow. My retaining wall fell down. Brought a tractor in, scooted everything around, got the dirt down there. The next season, this pops up next to the river. It grew there for 5 years. I never watered it, never fed it, never did anything. Yes.
When you say you have a unique dahlia, is it truly unique? Anyone in the whole world?
It's genetically, we have studies going on at the University of Washington. I think there's one in Michigan. Stanford's doing it. Yeah, genetically, they're not the same. It's truly the only one to do that. And that one right there, that was Florence G, that was J, that was one of mine there too.
So they have to be cloned, right?
Yes, the only way you can get a true match is to clone it, which you can take a leaf clone, put the tuber in the ground, take a cutting off the tuber to do that, or plant the tuber itself, and that's the only way you get an actual really match to what you have. So here's where we have all the different classes. As I said, there's 20 types, forms there. And let's get through here. We have all these sizes now. We've added a new size category to this here. I'm trying to get to the pictures. Here's all our colors. You have the different colors. A lot of people would talk about hybridizing. Color is probably the most difficult thing to duplicate. They tend to blend a lot. When I go for a seed parent, which is the mother plant, what I call it, is where I get the seed from, it's the closest thing that matches the form. It usually stays pretty close to the form of it. So we're trying to look to do that. But then the goal is eventually I name them after people that I know or family that is gone. And all kinds of ways to do it. So here's we have a formal deck type blooms. Both the same. Those are two different sizes and they're the same thing. Everybody likes that guy right there. That's Nick Sr.
When you hybridize,
Louis Maglis.
the chance of getting a seed from a hybrid combination, that something unique is very small, right? Like they almost always come out white or plain seeds.
The most common color is yellow. The most common form is, I'll show you here, is, on all these you have here, were all my things. I'll get to the one that the most common form is. We call them singles and open center blooms. Sorry for the audience at home going too fast. And every single one's still a dahlia. That's what it's like. There are so many different things. These are your open centers here.
Oh, those are pretty.
Those are the ones you get the scent. That is actually no longer a novelty now. They created a class because so many of those came out. And then you get to this. These here. This one here, which is poo on this side here. That's a marlin on the other side.
Oh, look at orchid.
It's just because it says singles. So, and I can't tell you how many of these pink and yellow ones I get in the yard, and I keep throwing them away. So many of them.
Oh, let me have some,
Huh?
please.
How do we get the bulbs from you?
I have a website to do this. It's Mountain Valley Dahlias to do that. I don't have, everything's closed because everything's been shipped up. Now I'm going through my plants and stuff, whatever I have left, I can let you know and see and do that. But these come out they're the most common form of dahlia. That was the original one. It was like the single. This one when it kind of looked like a cosmos to do that.
Oh, wow.
So you see, You can do it. It is a challenge. A lot of seeds, it depends. A really good one to look for is you're trying to find one that will produce seeds that are actually fertile seeds to do that. The odds of getting something that's really quality, you get a lot of these, the toughest thing before was learning what to throw away. Oh, they're all wonderful. Then I became jaded and now they're all ugly. Until, oh, there's one. So I did, one year I planted 10,000 seedlings.
Oh, jeez.
I have 5 from that 10,000 that I've counted down.
Oh.
But they win awards too.
Mm.
So I do that. So the chances of getting something other than yellow or white in a single, it's tough, but it's not rare. It's not rare. It's actually rare. Some people put things. I have one variety. Thanks, Mom. It's a white incurve cactus, and it was my first seedling that I had out. That actually is a really no hybridizers out there. It produces incurved cactuses all the time. I don't get any singles. I don't get any open sales. I may get some that don't have enough florets on it, but it's pretty consistent what's doing that. So you find that trick to find out what's going on, what's going to give you something to do. But it's really easy to do. I mean, it's not that much challenge. Yeah.
From the same plant, every seed is going to be different, right?
Every single one will be different. And you'll have something that's similar, but I'll have, like from that one that I have, that white cactus that I have, it's white, but I will have, these are the little tiny ones, those are less than 2 inches. So this is a cactus form where you see it's spiky. So I have a white one and I've had this color come out of it. I have white come out of it, I've had yellow come out of it, I have red come out of it. I have a blend which was pink and yellow. It goes 2 different colors. I've got, and all out of that one particular one.
How many seeds in a flower when it finally rises?
Well,
So you can plant the seeds?
you see each one of those florets on there? If
Floret.
the bee, that's the petals. I'm a judge, so I have to be an instructor, seedling judge, and senior judge, so I have to be technical. But every single one of those, if it gets pollinated, can turn into a seed. So if this one here has like maybe about 100 florets on it, you can get 100 seeds from that.
And you can plant the seed and it'll grow another dahlia?
Mm-hmm. Usually. Depends. It's got some of them that it all
Right.
become to it. What I do, there's a lot of different techniques. People use wet paper towels. Well, I just take the seedling mix, put that down, sprinkle them on top, keep it wet, sprinkle a little bit more, and just keep it moist the whole time. And as they grow up, you just lift them up, plant them in a little pot, and there you go. Oh, that's how you do it. But every single one of those can possibly do it. Now the trick is, there's 2 ways of pollinating. I don't care. Let the bees do it, and we're done. I kind of use that method a little bit, but what I will do is I'll take my seed parent, my mother plant that I want to get seeds from, and put it down, and I will plant around it the ones I wanted to go with. Well, a bee can only carry so much pollen. Everybody freaks out, oh, I don't want to have any open centers in my garden. Well, if they're 50 feet this way, the bee's not going to make it. It go 2-3 plants, gone, and we're out of here. So you plant that way, so that's another one. Another way that I do it is I will take 2 varieties that I have together, I'll bring them over and cross the heads, and then trim down the florets so they're a little stubby, and then I'll cut a trail right in the middle between the 2 so the bee will walk over back and forth.
Oh.
And I've actually watched them do that, just get over there, walk one side, walk the other side, get it done, and when I think it's got enough, then I'll pull it off, let it close up, and it is done. So yeah, there's so many people that are old school that go out there in the morning, get a Q-tip, put a nylon over it, cheesecloth over it. I'm like, nothing. That's enough for me. I don't have enough time to do all that stuff to get it done. The bees do a great job. And actually the biggest, like my bees go a little bit farther because I have mostly bumblebees are my pollinators over there. And you just see a yellow ball flying around during the season when they're coming by. So it's definitely easy to do. You can get them all done.
Do you keep a beehive?
No, was gonna try to find somebody to do that, to put a beehive next to mine garden, but then I was told I'm not allowed to do that because she hates bees. I said, they're not gonna sting you, they don't sting me. So they work really well, so I have lots of bees. This is just a section on insects.
Okay.
So, that one there, you know, ladybug, that's a good one to do. That one there, not a ladybug, good one to squish. That's a Dahlias. It actually, people are, how do I get rid of them? Other than predatory bugs, the best way is to go out in the morning when they're moving slow and squish them. That's what we do. Now, everybody hates the mole, what it does, but this guy on the other side is a cutworm. He eats cutworms. So, you know, I've actually gone out and have a competition to see who can keep the dahlia in the ground longer when they're first starting until they get spread out, because I keep pushing them above the ground and get it done. But that cutworm will chew up my tubers really bad. That's the lacewing. There's some eggs for it that's there, which is really great to do. And there you can see your little pollinator.
Yeah.
I think I have something to do that.
So, we really appreciate
Yeah.
you making it that,
Yeah. Oh my.
I think one thing that we'd like to do is for our speaker to help us with the drawing.
Okay.
So, we do gambling.
There you go.
Hey, well, let's give a round of applause to Bob.
One ticket.
Read the last 3 digits.
The last three,
He needs
Yes.
glasses.
I can't see. The last 3 numbers were 851.
Carl,
Oh, Carl.
Oh, Carl. Hey, are we watching propagation now?
That's the propagation of them.
And just for the record, at the very beginning of your talk, Bob,
Yes, sir.
a head drifted by in front
Uh-oh.
of the camera. And I think you ought to, in honor of that head that drifted by, you need to name one of your new dahlias the Jerry.
The cherry.
Wow.
Or the Herbie. You have a
Herbie.
choice.
Well, I have to find one that's odd. There's your seeds.
Oh,
Yes,
You made it, Geraldine.
I do. And actually,
A mutant.
that was one of the years from all my seeding.
wow.
And that's to say, that's the name of, I come up with reason why for names. And when he mentioned the Mandy Lee one, I named one after Mandy. It was I named it Mandy Lee. And it just drives some people crazy up there. It's a water lily form, but they're saying it's just too big to be a water lily. It says, show me in the classifications where it shows size for water lily. So why do you name it Mandy? I says, because it's a wonderful thing and it doesn't conform to standards. So we do that. So yeah, so we can do it. So seeds, there you go. But if you have any questions anytime, unfortunately, I guess it's a curse. I can talk about dahlias for hours upon hours.